Mama's boy. My husband almost worships his mom. Yes, he loves me and my kids too, but he has never stood up for me or my kids in front of his mom. This is because his is a two-faced boss. She acts super duper nice in front of his son with me, however any chance she gets she takes to attack me. Like for example, I come from divorced parents and my dad is in the nursing home. She always talks about stuff like, so-and-so who we have never met or heard of left their poor dad in a nursing home. Shame be on them, that father raised you, and she says things like people that come from divorced parents are revengeful and end up being bad people. Or she plays something on the TV that relates to me and comments on it, and says things like people that show their emotions on their face and can't control it are sick people. I'm a mother of 3, with my little one being 3 months old. My husband and I have decided that I will be a stay-at-home mom until my kids are a little older. However, she comes to me and says things like, my daughter, you should go work and make some money, with that money hire a babysitter for your kids. No man likes a freeloader. The man will treat you like trash. She tries to say I see you the same as my daughter, so she can get her way with me. I am so fed up with this behavior. This isn't even 1% of the harm she has done to me psychologically. When I mention it to my husband, he attacks my mom who had literally never, ever involved herself in our marriage. I barely talk to her or get to see her. My husband starts cursing me for even mentioning how I get hurt by what his mom says. He always backs her up. I've even went the route of letting her say anything she wants and letting it slide. However, she fills my husband's ears with crap so that he always fights with me. She does things randomly show up to my door and start knocking and calling phones saying she's outside. Then she tells my husband things like, look at how dirty she is. She can't even keep a clean home. Keep in mind my kids are 1, 2, she 3 months old. She comments on my weight and on how my babies stink. It's so stressful, that I just eat myself up thinking about it all the time. It feels so good finally just venting out all of this. Mate, this sounds incredibly stressful, and I cannot express how gutted I am that your husband will not stand up for you and your children. Yours is the family he has chosen to make and not the family he's originally from. His family of choice should be his priority, not his family of origin. That said, if he's attacking your mother, rather than accepting your point about his mother's behavior, that is a warning sign to me. It's a warning sign that he knows his relationship with his mother is abnormal, and adversely impacts his, and yours, quality of life. However, he wants to avoid taking responsibility and so attempts to mimic you by aiming vitriol at his mother-in-law, rather than his own mother. To be honest, I would think that he is actually afraid of confronting his mother and setting, and fucking enforcing, any meaningful boundaries. He has an idea of how she will react, and for whatever reason, rightly or wrongly, he thinks that your reaction will be the more manageable one, so he sides with his mother. He can't change this behavior until he overcomes his fear of her, his feelings of guilt and obligation towards her. Reading and therapy may help, however there are massive limits as to what you can do on your own, especially if your husband will not enforce any boundaries you jointly set, and changes will take time, so you'll have to be patient, and being honest it sounds like you've already been really patient. I was literally in the kitchen washing dishes and I couldn't help but just cry at how down I felt since the last time she attacked me was right in front of my husband, and he didn't even care to say something. Not only that, but he even repeats what she says and taunts me about it and tells me I'm grudgeful. Like anytime I mention anything about his mom, not only does he curse me out but also says things like you're good for nothing, you're just a fat mess, the kids stink, etc. Let me tell you a little about me. Before I got married I was very fit. We are going into our 4th year of marriage. Since I have had my kids back to back it's been a little hard to lose all the weight completely. Given that I'm breastfeeding. I'm a very clean person, it's just that the mom shows up at random times without prior notice, so I don't get the chance to quickly clean up. It's awful. I've thought of leaving him because of his mother's involvement in our life. However, he cries and says how he loves me and my kids and that his mother just wants the best for us. He says things like my mother is a bit dumb and inconsiderate. And things like at the end of the day she is my mom. I can't leave her. It's hard to leave him because I have 3 young little ones and I do love my husband. It's just life would be so different if his mother didn't butt into our life. And yes, I definitely agree about his feeling of obligation and guilt to his mother. This results from his mom going through a lot. His mother lost her son to a car accident and their house went on fire. All of this was years ago, about 10 to be exact, way before I met him. Firstly, actions speak louder than words, as in whatever your mother-in-law does has a greater impact than your husband's words about it. Leaving him may not seem like a viable option, however the longer this carries on, and the longer you suffer from not being your husband's priority, the more your quality of life will suffer, and, whilst I don't know a great deal about you, I can promise that you don't deserve that. I am so sorry your mother-in-law does not see what a special woman her son has married. I can tell how much you love your husband and your children. I had a difficult mother-in-law that tried to break up my marriage for years. I confronted my mother-in-law in love and learned some of her background. That helped me understand what I was dealing with. My husband did stand up for me so I could get through her troublemaking. It seems like your husband may be afraid of his mother and will not confront her. Have you suggested counseling to him to help him deal with his mom? I used out resources to learn how to deal with my mother-in-law. I always prayed for her and that helped me to forgive her. I can tell you are an awesome mom and I encourage you to seek some outside help.